Today on Turbo Talks, a deep dive into Canyon SRAM Generation and its diversity and inclusion program. Alright, welcome back to the Turbo Talks podcast. I am your host, Rob Pauw, and today we are doing things maybe a little bit different than what you may be used to of us. Because in the light of International Women's Day on Tuesday the 8th of March, we are turning the spotlight onto one of the best initiatives in the world of cycling. One that makes a positive difference for the development in women's cycling and accelerates women's equality. In 2022, Women's WorldTeam, Canyon SRAM Racing added a second team as part of its long-term diversity and inclusion program. The newly founded Canyon SRAM Generation team is registered as a women's Continental team. And today we are excited to share the story of the Canyon SRAM Generation Development Team and its diversity and inclusion program. And to do so, I will be joined by two driving forces behind this initiative. First up will be Tina Kalkschmid, of Team Development and Diversity and Inclusion Expert. And later on in the show, it's time to hear from Canyon SRAM Generation's Sports Director, Szabo. So let's time to dive into it. And first up, welcome Tina on the show. Welcome Tina, thanks for joining us. How are you?
Hi Rob, thanks for having me here. I'm good, thank you. Hope you
awesome.
As well.
Yeah, I'm really great as well. I'm really excited to hear all about Canyon SRAM Generation and obviously the diversity and inclusion expert. It's a big title.
It is.
Can you explain it to us?
Well, I mean, diversity and inclusion, or diversity, equality and inclusion, however you want to exactly name it, is of course a big topic itself, but it is actually exactly what it says. It is about diversity and inclusion, and it is about making Canyon SRAM more diverse and inclusive. We did not only want to focus on the already existing Canyon SRAM Racing team, but we want to take the whole thing a big step further with founding the new Canyon SRAM Generation team, which is basically the even more diverse and inclusive team within the already quite diverse and inclusive team.
So the first question sort of like came up in my mind because Canyon SRAM already been like a pioneer in the world of cycling. Got team members new coming in from the Swift Academy, so really inclusive and innovative in that way. So what was the driving force to then start this new initiative?
As you already said, I mean, we had plenty of discussions beforehand. I mean, the first discussion was we're talking about women's cycling, which is already diverse in terms of cycling in total, right? Actually, I mean, women are definitely not a minority, but in terms of professional cycling, it is a minority. So focusing on women's cycling is already one step towards diversity. Then having a team like Canyon SRAM Racing with so many nationalities, with recruiting new talents via the Swift Academy, is also basically brings in another dimension of diversity. But still, if you look at professional women's cycling, if you look at the peloton, the vast majority are white women from Europe, right?
Yeah.
And then when we just look at the whole map, then it's so obvious that there's so many talents. There must be so many talents all over the world, and we're just ignoring them, right? So how can it be that there's so many great talents in any or in other endurance sports like running, for instance, from Africa, or also from Asia, and not in cycling? Because the threshold to enter professional cycling is much higher, right? You need quite expensive equipment. You need the chance to race in Europe, etc. And there are not as many established development paths as there are in other sports that have been designed and are working for years now, that help to bring talents from, for instance, Africa, South America, Asia to Europe. So that was the idea behind it. So what do we need to do to give riders from countries that are currently underrepresented in the peloton the opportunity to race in Europe.
And from there, from that program came SRAM Generation, the team. So
Exactly.
basically the development team. And you mentioned there must be such a big pool of riders out there all over the world. How do you then get to in the end to like a selection of 8 riders from 7 different countries? And just for the listeners, I'm just going to name the countries. They're from Germany, because obviously you are a German team, so you have to have German riders in there. I think you had to have 2 in there. But then also other riders come from Paraguay, Sierra Leone, Rwanda, Malaysia, the Caribbean, and Namibia.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was definitely the toughest part to select the riders in the end. But because, I mean, you probably also followed social media when we first announced that we start recruiting for the development team. We got so many feedback, great feedback, positive feedback, and not only just feedback likes and such. We also got a lot of applications, and of course, selecting the riders that finally make it to the team was the most difficult part. So what did we do? So first of all, we set together and established criteria. I mean, of course, we're not. It's not like a kind of. Or we didn't want to found a team of people that just like bike riding, right? We wanted to have people in the team that have the potential to step up to a World Tour team, because this is our goal. We want to make women's cycling more diverse and inclusive. That means we have to create a development path that really works and that helps to develop riders and help them to step up to a World Tour team by creating all the environment that they need with the team, with training opportunities, with physios, with mechanics, and all that goes along with that. So considering that, it was clear that we have to have clear performance goals. I think Adam is the right person to answer these questions later on with regards to performance.
We'll definitely check in with him later on.
Yeah. But apart from that, of course, we wanted to have or to ensure that all our riders are also ambassadors for diversity. And you probably also followed that we already started now like over a year ago together with SRAM Racing, our diversity and inclusion program that also included working on our team values, our mission statement that you also find on our website. And we put a lot of effort in that to create a joint vision to work on our values. So it was also important that the new riders fit in there, right? That they share our common values. So we did not only ask questions and wanted to see proof of the performance. And by the way, performance was not only limited to cycling, so they could also come from other sports. But we also asked questions about how what they think their contribution to the team could be, about their values, etc. And that all together then was plenty of information. So it was quite a big challenge for us to sit together. And I think we had like, I don't know, in the end it was like 240 something applications, and to really scan them through. And I can remember having some tough discussions with Adam, how to basically weigh in performance versus thinking this could be the person that really contributes to the team and helps to bring this team a step further. So yeah, was took quite some time, but that was basically the process that in the end led to the final decision of the 8 riders.
And you mentioned already like the values. Can you give an example of one of the values and how maybe the new team members match it? Or is there like an answer in the selection progress that you still have top of mind from one of the riders in terms of like how they match the values?
I mean, the value is about, I mean, we have a value statement that we have developed for Kenyan SRAM Racing, which is united. We stand for respecting our differences, support and trust one another, and persevere towards our ambition. And I know this sounds like a nice sentence, like something that someone could have designed somewhere sitting on their own desk, but this is not how it happened. That was actually a process that we went through January last year with the whole team. And the starting point was that every single team member, rider, staff, everyone, basically named their top 3 personal values. And then we had a huge board where we just basically we posted, pinned down all the values, started clustering them. And then we had a group discussion, which went in ongoing sessions over 3 days. And that was the result. So it's not something that someone said, I want this to be the value for the team. This is the team. This is the essence of the team. And this is why it was so important for us that also the new riders share the same values. And this was basically something we looked for, or I specifically focused on when I looked at the applications. It was not about copy and pasting from our website or using the exact same words. It was more like phrasing it in their own words, but giving us the impression that these are things that are so important for them.
Yeah. So those values are carried by the team. They live by it. It's their, it's theirs.
Exactly.
Yeah. And now I already mentioned, like in the intro, with the link to International Women's Day because we're recording this on the Monday and tomorrow is then International Women's Day. Mm-hmm. Always a day we're sort of like celebrating women's achievements and also raising awareness that there is still discrimination, there is still a bias. How does an initiative like this help break down some of those barriers?
I mean, as I said before, I think already just women's cycling itself is a kind of a big step. Just making women's cycling itself just more visible, right? Is a big step, and then making women cycling more diverse is the next big step. So I think it all comes together. It's basically like you could say like a puzzle or like a building, brick by brick, right? And everything adds to another. And this is also why, to be honest, I have kind of mixed feeling when we talk about things like Women's Day, things like this. It should not just be one single day. Yes, it is good to focus some specific actions and initiatives on this single day. But this always has the tendency like, okay, we do it now and this is the day. And after that, we just go back to normal. And this is not how it should be. And we still have so many things we need to work on when it comes to gender equality. There's so many fields where there's definitely not equality yet. There's so many unconscious biases that still prevents us from achieving true equality. I could talk for days about that. You might ask the team. That was one topic of one of our last diversity trainings when we talked about gender diversity and inclusivity. And at first, everyone was like, "Yeah, but we're a women's team. Why do we talk about gender?" And it was actually me asking them the question, and they were like, "Yeah, actually, we don't know," because we don't feel like discriminated. It's not that men get the jobs that we want to get because we're only women on the team here, as riders at least. Well, after the training, I think they saw it differently when I just showed various examples where we still haven't achieved equality yet. So, yeah, you can probably tell I'm quite passionate about it. And I also see how much we still have to do.
Yeah.
in this
So,
field.
so at least so you're happy that there is a day of awareness, but like you said, it shouldn't have to be that way. It is about every day, and I think Canyon
Exactly.
SRAM, guys doing an awesome job in at least like you building that foundation, and like you said, brick by brick, and you're building further to that sort of like better and more equal world. And that's an awesome job that you guys are doing.
Thank you.
All right, Tina, I'm gonna leave you to it for now, and we're gonna switch over to Adam. Who was already, I think he was already listening in the background, already saw some smiles from him every now and then on the camera as well. The listeners obviously can't see that. Welcome, Adam. How are you?
Hello. I'm fine, thank you.
Sports director of the Canyon SRAM Generation. What is the first months of 2022 with the start of the team? How did it look like for you?
I'm actually quite positively surprised because the team bonding is really strong, and there is definitely this what we can build on the future also. And performance-wise, they are also quite good. Obviously, there are some areas, especially on the technical side of the bike riding, what should be improved. But that's why we are here. That's why this team came into the life to overcome these barriers or these limitations.
So firstly, switch back to the selection process that we just touched on with Tina as well. And she already said there was like a performance side to it, which had to be sort of like weighed against also the contribution to the team. And you were obviously the one with a big input on the performance side of things. What did the selection process look like in terms of performance?
So
what were key indicators?
Yeah. So we wanted to have at least some race data or some data in terms of race results. Like power files or any kind of these informations is quite hard to get riders from the areas we were focused on. So we were looking for race results, but they could give, and even if it's from regional or national level. But most of the riders they raced also in different environments. So, for example, we have one rider from Jamaica who was a national duathlete, triathlete, and the results came from even from swimming. So that was a good thing to see, even the results from another sports. And obviously there were the other riders had some decent results on a national or even international level already.
And then you had to combine all the results, like Tina used the word puzzle before, so I can imagine it was a puzzle a bit for you in that regard as well.
Indeed, exactly.
So you got all the riders together. How are you guys like organized now at the moment? What does their calendar look like, etc.?
First of all, we are still waiting for some riders because our biggest challenge is to get the riders to Europe through all the visa processes, and obviously there are big obstacles in this, even just to get the riders here to Europe. So we are still not complete at the moment. But we are facing to a really nice calendar. We set up first, so the team will be based in Girona, and we are more focusing on the first part of the season to the national and regional Spanish races here around, especially in Spain, some in France. And then later in the season, we will switch and we'll add more and more UCI races to the calendar. And we are looking also to race some bigger events throughout the season, which will be 0.1 stage races and even 1 point pro race. We are get committed to.
So you've got some exciting stuff coming up, but like you mentioned, there's some hassle that has to be taken care of before, like you already mentioned, the visas. You said you were all based in Girona. What does that look like? Is it like a big family home where everyone lives together, or?
So we have the heart of everything is we have a service course like a base where we store the bikes, cars, and we have places to get together and to have meetings and basically just to be together. And then at the moment we have one team house where the riders live together, and we are looking to set up another one. So there will be actually two smaller houses, or one apartment and one smaller house where 4 and 3 riders will stay respectively.
What is like the influence of having like a home? Because obviously they come from all over the world, away from their environments that they're used to, which they're comfortable in, and they suddenly, it's like a daunting step to go to Europe, maybe live in Girona with strangers. What's the impact of that on performance, and how are you trying to sort of like make them comfortable here then?
So first I would like take this question into two. So first, how they get comfortable. Well, then it's our job with my staff to make them quite comfortable. So we'll try to make it everything possible to have the least things to worry, or the less things to worry. So that's why we set up the team house where basically everything is provided, and moreover we try to teach them how to use basic things, so how to cook for themselves. But besides, we also provide meals. So if they choose to have their own food, they can cook their own food. But they have also the option to have food cooked for themselves for the team. And then obviously they are quite. This is a really nice thing to see how riders from different part of the world come to Europe, and then dealing with let's say for us normal things, just to know how to wash their clothes properly, or how to take care about their riding kit and basic maintenance of the bike and these things. So that's a quite important and interesting thing to see. And this is which all happening at the team house. And then I think it's positively affecting their performance, because here in Girona they are surrounded not by just the teammates, but they can train every day together. But also there is many other cyclists, which most of them they are role models, or they just saw them on TV, or they just read on the news, and then you met them on the ride, or even they can ride together. So that's I think definitely a positive thing for them.
So what are your first impressions with the riders who are already there, and how do you see them already make a connection, maybe with the other riders, maybe with the World Tour team?
Oh, it's really good, and it's really going like quite fast forward, because we also have some riders from the Women's World Tour team, from the racing team here in Girona. So they also used to ride with them at the beginning, but obviously the cycling community is quite big, and I would say quite diverse in Girona, and they find their way even without my conscious input in quite easily, and it's for me it's quite interesting and nice to see that they getting well with the culture and with the riders here.
So when you look at their development, when comes the time that you say, or that you're going to evaluate in terms of like how they are going, if someone is able to maybe make the next step to maybe the World Tour team? Is there a timeline projected on that, or what you're looking for, or?
Where we want to give all the tools and all the knowledge to be prepared to make that step. So this is definitely as a development team, which is not as other development teams, because the other development teams, they are more focused on developing the performance side. But here I'm more looking to develop the riders to make it in life as a pro cyclist, and not just in a pro cyclist, just as a human being, to be able to take care of themselves, to teach them how things are working in all aspects of life in let's say in Europe or in Spain or here in Girona, when they will if they turn professionals, they ultimately need to take care about themselves. And that's where the challenges comes, not just from riders which are coming outside from Europe, but also I see that some younger riders who are turning professionals.
So if we look at 2022, and we're going to ask the question to wrap it up later on again to Tina as well. When is 2022 a success for this team?
I would say the success would be if we will be able to be a valued part of the European peloton and at the continental level, and then the riders can finish the races, and we can work on and they understand a little bit of the tactics, and they develop in a technical way that they are more technically skilled riders than when they was the first day when they came to Europe.
All right. Going back to Tina. Tina, when is 2022 a success for this project?
Well, I guess Adam already covered a lot, if not all. I think it is, in addition to what Adam said, I would focus on how the team grows together. So, and this is a bit, it's not really tough. It's just because what we already saw in the first two training camps, and what Adam already mentioned, is that the team was already working so well together. So we already made a huge step. So this was something, if you'd asked me like before the first training camp, this is something what I'd say, this is what is a big success if we achieve this throughout the year. So now what the missing pieces are the riders that are still not here. So integrate them in the team, and then bringing the whole team together, and moving forward, this would then definitely be a success for 2022.
All right, awesome. So looking forward to a 2022 in which we see the team and riders grow individually as persons, but also in terms of like performance and technical skills. All right. I want to thank you guys for joining us and talking us through the Canyon SRAM Generation development team, and obviously the diversity and inclusion program as explained by Tina. I wish you guys all the best with this team. We're definitely gonna follow it. And thanks for joining the podcast. Much appreciated.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And thank you all, everyone, for listening to this podcast. And make sure you keep following Canyon SRAM Generation and throw your support behind that awesome program. And obviously, follow also and support those other great initiatives that are around in the world of cycling that accelerate women's equality on and off the bike. And as always, in the meantime, make sure you never stop cycling. This was Rob Pauw with Tina Kalkschmid and Adam Szabo, Canyon SRAM Generation. Stay tuned for the next Turbo Talks.